Welcome in, everybody. American Leeds, the American Leeds YouTube and Spotify channel. My name is Alex Simon. I'm going to try to download this and then upload it onto Spotify, hopefully in the next 24 hours. Welcome into the international break, everyone. Hope you're doing well. Again, Alex Simon is my name. The American Leeds podcast from Anchorage, Alaska, to Brisbane, to Beeston, to Bangkok. We are Leeds United. We're a massive club, and I thank everybody for being letting me be part of the Leeds United content creation world. The goal of this channel is to just have a talk about Leeds United. I love Leeds. I found Leeds 7 years ago. Been a fan ever since. The club represents a lot of what I am as a fan. I enjoy the climb in life and in in my watching sports, and so that's happened. I've been lucky enough to be to watch clubs rise to the top in America, and I just thought Leeds has the potential to do the same thing in the UK and in global football and European football. And I think a lot of people find Leeds getting back to the kind of the glory days of Champions League football probably a pipe dream, and it might be. It's probably the most difficult thing to do, but it's possible. It is possible. Big shout out. I want to shout out some people, just fans that I've been kind of developing relationships with in the comments, and I just think are really good fans. I always have good discussions with them. Carl, you know who you are. Diggler, you're on several channels, but I always appreciate your comments. Thanks for always digging into the comments. Mr. P, you're everywhere, but I also just appreciate the discourse back and forth. And Dow 1024, great Twitter, and obviously you're on YouTube in the comments section. So just appreciate you guys. I think I'm probably missing a few. I'll have to dig up a few more, but thanks everybody. I love the comment section, is really kind of what I live for. I love the discourse. I love Leeds. I want to talk about Leeds. I created this channel so I don't go crazy. And when I have something to say, I pop on here. That's really it. If I don't have anything to say, I don't do transfers because I just can't keep up with it. It moves too quick. I tried it. I would like to do more watch alongs, but they're difficult to do. You need more graphics, I feel like. And then my schedule is really tough too for watch alongs, but I don't do really watch alongs. I like to do a long form podcast. None of the guys could really join tonight, so I'm going solo, and my schedule is kind of a mess. So I can't even do I have to do stuff late at night now. Anyways, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And just thank you. A up, Alex. Philip, that's right. A up. Somebody put EYUP, E up, and that confused me. Super American. I'm super, I don't know Yorkshire slang, so please hook me up, man. Let me know the slang. What is the purpose of Angus Kinnear? I honestly don't understand. I don't get it. He seems to me like the empty suit. Again, I've been a fan for 7, maybe going on 8 years. During the Massimino was 100% the owner. I've been there. I was there. He was there. I don't get. I mean, I get who he was then. He was kind of like the PR, the marketing guy, the guy that ran the numbers. I get the concept of him. I get that. Like his title is CEO. Okay. What do you do here? I don't think he should be in charge of PR anymore. I don't think he should. I thought the interview was terrible. there were elements of it that I liked, but hey, the interview, I could say good on him or kudos or whatever, congratulate. I could clap and say that he took his medicine. It's time for you to go. I don't like necessarily calling out people's jobs. I understand that it happens a lot in America. We call for head coaches' jobs. I called for Jesse's job early and then I took it back. I was the first one. The first one. No, you weren't. No, you weren't, Alex. I was the first one to say Rad's out. No, you weren't. No. Here I am. Rad's out. This was a year ago at the close of the summer window. Some people agreed with me. Martin Cook, by the way, you used to dig in, so miss you, Martin. Mr. P agreed with me 11 months ago. I got a lot of stick from people saying, and I'm sorry if I'm outing people. People called me a plonker. People called me a plastic new American fan. We've seen what American owners can do to teams. I get that. Michael sticking up for me. And the main reason I said that, we can watch this video. Not that vain to really show it maybe, but it was because he didn't have the money. Raz didn't have the money. I'll get back to Angus though. I don't understand why he's here. I don't get it anymore. I go back to the badge debacle. I go back to Osama bin Laden cutout in the stands. I know that wasn't his fault. I know he's not supposed to vet all the cardboard cutouts in the COVID year. He's the PR man. He's the spin doctor, and he protects the owners. I get that. I get it. I get who he is. I understand what he does. I just don't understand what his purpose is anymore. I don't get it. I don't get what his purpose is. He doesn't look at, he's not a footballing, like he doesn't understand necessarily the talent level. He's not, I mean, he might understand footballers, but I'm just saying, like, he's not watching these guys on tape. He doesn't have like the end all be all list of like we're not pinning everything on Angus to find us the next, talented Leeds United under 18. Oh, thanks, Philip. Just keep what you're doing, brother. You're all good. And A up, E up are both the same, spelled differently. Thank you. All right. Appreciate that. Kenneth, good to see you, by the way. And I appreciate the thread that you and Phil, I believe, are on. You've got me in on Twitter. But I'm just ranting because I think I don't want to say I don't want to be so mean. It sounds mean, but I think he's expendable. I understand why the 49ers kept him on, because during the transition, we needed a person like that to understand kind of the nuances of what was going on in the club, like how things worked, because the 49ers might not have been aware of everything behind closed doors that Raz was doing. So I thought it was very necessary that Angus stay on during the transition. But now that the transition's over, we've weathered the storm of the transfer window. I think it's time to move on from Angus Kinnear. It's just time. And I say that in a way that I think he'll get on with another club. I think he'll get another job. It's just, I'd like to get a new face in the door that deals with some of this stuff, because I thought the interview was bad. Well, why was it bad? Okay. Well, I think it was bad because he kind of he still protected Rad Razzani, which I get. I don't think that's the worst thing in the world. but he's a liar. He lied. I mean, we were supposed to believe again, and he's the spin doctor. This is like about the two international strikers and the budding young English U23, U21 international Joe Gellhart. Like I get it. Like I know who he is, but protecting the owners, protecting Radrizzani, which he's certainly okay to do. His new owners are different, but okay. He said things like when he was going over some of the kind of accomplishments of Radrizzani and Orta, he talked about getting Pascal Struijk for peanuts, getting Willie Nanto for peanuts, and getting Meslier for peanuts. Now the players will listen to the podcast. I mean, some of this probably more the older players because they understand it, but the agents might listen to the podcast as well. And the idea of you got my player for peanuts, I just don't, that's not the right language to use. Like, that's silly. You can say that behind closed doors. I don't know. You can say we got a club favorable deal, spin it another way, but to say peanuts. And then look, he can say truth and then, but also he either, to me, here's what it's boiled down to, either said truth in moments, but he said it in a way that was said poorly and could damage relationships, i.e. the Sinisterra and Adams example going to Bournemouth. There's a way to leave the club. And they didn't leave the club necessarily. Like he kind of went down that road. You can say that behind closed doors, but you don't want to burn the bridge. You don't want to burn the bridge. You want to be nice guy, public image. This is being recorded and broadcast all over the internet. I just thought that was, you don't say that. We can think that. You don't air dirty laundry. He was airing some dirty laundry this afternoon or tonight, whenever it dropped for you. I just took issue with. And then he, in the same breath, he said he was surprised that these players wanted to leave. And he talked about the EFL being the fifth biggest, club league in Europe, the EFL Championship, which I know about. I agree. He was surprised it was going to take such a sales job to try to convince him. And then he was then it's like 2 minutes later talked about how they were taking 40 to 60% pay cuts. Well, what do you mean you were surprised? You're cutting their salary by who takes a 40 to 60% pay cut? What are you talking about? So, it's like he's protecting Radrizzani still, but he shouldn't have done this interview. I just think it was stupid. And I don't understand what purpose he serves anymore. So I am curious, at some point, I would think in the next year we move on. I just want a new PR man. It's good to do PR marketing and have that and finance under one person. In my mind, that would be like a director of administration or something. You want to call it a CEO, call it a CEO. But I just want some fresh ideas. And I think everything, again, from the badge debacle, it's been enough. It's been a long time. And there's too many strikes, in my opinion. And this was one. This interview was one of them. It's too many strikes. For me, it's time to move on from Angus Kinnear. I don't understand the purpose of him. I just don't get it. I'm sorry to be so harsh. He's just time. It's time. And I think he lands on his feet at another club. And I think he does he's got a great resume. Arsenal, West Ham, Leeds United, got us promotion. Unfortunately, got us relegated. There was some circumstances that were like, he can make an excuse. I think it's just time to move on. I'd like to get somebody that it's a little bit more professional. And I don't think he's smart. Like, I'm sorry, my camera's shaking. I don't think he's the other thing that upsets me is I don't think he's smart. He's an idiot. I'm listening to the thing today. I'm going, you're saying too much in some circumstances, and then and credit to Dan Moylan and everybody at the Square World, because they kind of broke it down. I mean, 100 minutes with a one-on-one interview. He basically started to break down when they were peppering about Adams and Sinistera. That's when he kind of started to the mask was being lifted. The mask, I don't know. He was just, you can see he was being worn down. I don't know. That's my rant about Angus. I don't understand the purpose of him. I think he's a liar. I don't think he's smart. And I think he threw people under the bus that didn't need to be thrown under. And then I think he said some things that he shouldn't have, i.e. the peanut stuff, saying that he got players for peanuts, like bragging about that. The biggest thing that came out to me today that he did say was when he went to the EFL convention. They have a convention, and they talked about they wanted them wanting to do basically getting rid of parachute payments and the constraints of the bottom three that get relegated from the Premier League, making it more difficult for them to receive promotion. There is going to be parity in the EFL moving forward. That's why it is so paramount we get out this year. It's like quicksand. We don't get out of the league this year, it's like you're falling deeper and deeper and deeper in. And the EFL would be tickled to continue to have us because of our ticket sales, because we're one of the biggest clubs in England. TV rights. My God, if Everton ever do drop, they'll love it. I'll catch up on your comments. Phil and Ken had some back and forth. Angus is just a puppet and will be gone when the 49ers have finished with him, and I don't think it'll be long. Yeah, I'm surprised. I'm surprised he did this interview. I just don't think. I think they should have canceled the interview, and really pretty much after this window, after maybe the game at the weekend, they should have said, thank you for your service to the club. I don't know. When I think of Angus Kinnear, like the good things that he's done, at the end of the documentary on Amazon, he said that we're going to go for automatic promotion. We're not going to deal with the playoffs. That was a cool quote because that came true. He said that he said some interesting stuff about Marcelo Bielsa, and Marcelo Bielsa was a manager that was bigger than the club. So he could sit there and kind of be patient about how the team was performing. And he's seen that Leeds United can crush managers. I mean, that was kind of some interesting stuff behind the scenes. But I don't know, like outside of helping to recruit Marcelo Bielsa, I don't know, some good, helping to float the team's salary during COVID. But, I don't know if they had a choice in that, but I don't know that quote, and that's it. Like, protecting his owners. He's done a great job of doing that. If this season project fails, I believe Angus will be the fall guy, and maybe that's why he's still around. Interesting. That might be a move that the 49ers would have. Yeah. Yeah, so like if we wind up mid-table, yeah, I could see that. It's up to Daniel Farka now. I did a little quick video on this. I think the squad's good enough for promotion. It's more talented than what Marcelo Bielsa had. Like body for body. If you look at that, squad position by squad position, assuming everybody stays healthy, It's a much stronger squad than Marcel Bielsa had, in my opinion. And I love the promotion boys, but Crescencio Somerville, Willie Nanto. Could you imagine if Marcel Bielsa had those two wingers? Joel Perreault for a full season. Jed Spence bombing down the side, overlaps. I mean, who were the wingers? They don't have a 10. I mean, he doesn't have a Pablo, but I mean, he had Marcel Bielsa, Jack Harrison, and they were just players escaping me. He just went to Saudi. He was trying to go to Saudi, but we didn't go. Who was that player? Anyways, body for body, I think he's got the Costa. Thank you. Costa's still hanging around, Paul. So, yeah, I just think body for body, Bielsa had less. The team is good for promotion. And I also enjoyed, this is like the little moments that during the interview that again kind of gives you behind closed doors that I think does have some value. But he talked about Daniel Farka walking into I said in the locker room, somebody corrected me the other day, dressing room, and basically said after a draw that I had less points with Norwich. And we went on to have 100-point automatic promotion. So like stuff like that, like stuff that you want to hear. I don't know. I thought that was cool. I'm going to rant a little bit about, let me see. Wait, I got some other stuff here. I'll share the Phil Hay article because I'll just keep. I want to keep going on Angus. If I don't want to miss anything. 9 of you in the building, please smash the like the smash. You control the algorithm. Algorithm does not control you. There's some good little. Lord Leeds says the narrative went from Bielsa was always leaving in the summer to Bielsa wanted big investment to make the next step. What a load of bollocks. Don't trust a word. Yeah, I just was like, this guy, he's a snake. I don't know what this, like, I don't like Angus Kinnear. Dow 1024 says, I think the square ball interview with Kinnear was successful at dissecting the past couple of years. I understand there's a time limit, but I wish they went a little bit more into talking about the new owners and new owners are better than the last and how they intend to prove it. Great job overall. Yeah, awesome job. Squareball did. Maybe they weren't allowed to go into the new ownership, but absolutely I kind of wanted to hear a transition about, like, talk to me about working with Parag Marate and his negotiation tactics. And have you seen him in like the interview process? And they talked a little bit about the new ownership, but I would have liked to hear about Parag. Again, just his expertise in owning the 49ers and what he's done over there. And I don't know, the new director of football and some of the new faces around the club. He said that they invested heavily in the analytics side, which I think is interesting to me. And he talked a little bit about, some of this other stuff, the inside baseball or inside football stuff, that Brighton and Brentford are the envy of world football. I don't know about Brentford, but certainly Brighton are with what they've done with Moneyball. I thought that stuff was interesting. I like that. Let's see. I wanted to share. Oh, the moment that I knew we were back in the EFL. Some people say, the moment you're back in the EFL, You know, the moment you're back in the EFL, and it's like some people say, well, it's because when the matches, the upcoming matches were dropped, and you got to see that, like, oh God, Millwall away. A little bit, but not really for me. You know, when the kit dropped, when you see the EFL badge, it's still Adidas. It still looks like a really class kit, so I wasn't completely like, that wasn't it for me. Here's when it was. I'll show you. Here's when I knew we were back in the EFL. First of all, it's much more difficult in America to see the games, but ESPN, a major, you know, it would be like Sky level. It's huge, carries some EFL championship games, but not all of them. And so whatever, I can watch them on LUTV, broadcasted to the television. Not a big deal. It's $8 a game, I think, which can be more expensive than a subscription service if you add it up. But here's when I knew that we were back in the Champo. I'm like, you know what? I do want to see the highlights. What were the highlights of the Yorkshire Derby? Leeds United versus Sheffield Wednesday. You know what? 10-minute highlight, because on Leeds, I get 3-minute highlights. So I want extended highlights. I click on the game. You okay? I click on the game. Thanks, EFL. This is the EFL official YouTube channel. And they're giving me Leicester Hull City highlights, even though right under here, thanks, Yorkshire Derby, Leeds United versus Sheffield Wednesday, extended highlights. Frauds. Angus, you're a fraud. EFL, you're a fraud. You are frauds. What is this? I'm like, wow, okay. I'm back in the championship now. I click on, I want to see my club's highlights. I want to dig in deep because Leeds can only do 3-minute highlights. They can't occasionally they do a little bit more, maybe 5. But the exclusive extended highlights go to EFL. Okay, well, go over there. Type that up. Yep. Okay. And they still haven't changed it. This is like what? What is this? 6 days ago? 5 days ago? Look at the comments. I did say F me. This is terrible. Lovely stuff from the EFL. Brilliant highlights. The admin has a stinker. Clearly Aronson's fault. Well, it probably was. He did get us relegated. When did Leicester relocate to Yorkshire? Thanks, EFL. Really, like all these Leeds United fans or Sheffield Wednesday fans. How many views do we have? Oh, I don't even care. 12,000 views. 12,000 views. People have been clicking on it going, can't wait to. I mean, it was a 0-0 game, but come on. I was like, all right. I think that's that. Last part of this, all of you Yorkshire and, England, people that follow me, England, Australia, people that anywhere between 400 to, usually I'm getting 400 to 1,000 views on videos. Honestly, I think time of day, whenever it drops, I don't know. There's a bunch of things that come into play in it. I'll read your comments. No VARs when it hit me, said Paul. At least 2 Stonewall pens that should have been given in the Prim. Yeah, but we got burned in the Prim too, so I don't know. Like, yeah, that Stonewall penalty last week was bad against Willie. Yeah, I don't know. It just never feels like we can get the rub of the green. Yeah, so I don't know. Most of my viewers are from England. Most of my viewers are, Leeds United fans, obviously. I like to talk Leeds. I also am an American, and I am a USMNT fan. Once every 4 years, I will watch maybe every 2 years. We don't have anything really like the Euros. It's like Canada, United States, and Mexico, and some really small Central American teams, compete in, I think, a Gold Cup or something, and in CONCACAF, and it's really. I'm just going to rant here and say that I will root for the USMNT once every 4 years. LUTV subscription. I'm up watching the NFL, said Paul. I will watch. Don't tell me the score. I'm from Kansas City, so I'm a Chiefs fan originally. Central America, Central United States. But yeah, I just think I find the USMNT, the culture here is different. I am a first and foremost Leeds United fan. I fell in love with the club. I will watch some MLS. My MLS team is Sporting Kansas City. There's no relegation and promotion. And you're seeing what Messi is doing to the MLS, right? It's like he's scored in pretty much every single game. Inter Miami was the worst team in the MLS. He's basically brought in Sergio Busquets. I don't know if I'm saying his name right. It's like this holding. He's playing like a holding central midfielder. And you know what? And the games are getting better. But you're seeing what Messi's doing to that club and doing to the MLS. So I can't really watch it. I even tried to watch La Liga once. English football is the best product. It really is. It's the most physical. It's the fastest. It's just like watching a different sport sometimes if you turn into like some of the other leagues around the world. And anyways, my point is it is a different culture. They follow their players. They think their players are incredible. And I follow them too, but I just don't think that they've done anything. Like the USMNT players, they're I'm a US fan. They're bang average. These are bang average players. I just have to. Maybe I'll get Chris on here and stuff. Chris Fox, my other American counterpoint. They are bang average football players. Christian Pulisic is pretty good. He's going to do some great things at Milan. He's going to do some great things there, but it's the Italian league. It's much easier. It's much slower. I'm sure he's going to be he's the player of the month. He's going to be great. None of them have really been, except Tim Ream and Anthony Robinson at Fulham. Props to them. They're like mid-table Premier League club, except those two players, and they're just solid kind of defensive players. None of them have proven themselves in the Premier League. And we'll see what Tyler Adams does. He was doing well with Leeds United. But outside of that, I mean, McKinney got chewed up and spit out. Pulisic couldn't make this Chelsea squad. It's several managers. None of the managers rated him enough to start him consistently. I do get stuck into the USMNT. So if you do follow me on Twitter, I will push back at some of the USMNT fanboys. I just think they're laborious. The USMNT players, they haven't done anything. They're beating up on CONCACAF teams, and they got out of the group at the last World Cup, and then they quickly got bounced out the round of 16. We as USMNT fans would do ourselves a lot of service by closing our mouths and just hoping that these players get first team action. Until then, we really do need to stop talking. I'm just ranting. I don't know who's going to clip this up. I don't know who's going to watch this. Most of you guys are probably England fans. I just think that's what needs to happen. Busquets. LUTV description I've got. Paul, don't tell me about the NFL. Leeds fans are divided on many issues. That's great. Why Kinnear has support from Leeds fans is shocking to me. As a self-proclaimed CEO, he has failed yet and kept his job. Side before self is our MO. The side before self thing is an incredible mantra. And my favorite content creator is KG. And KG has some interesting points about kind of the new age players that it doesn't resonate. Just because KG can go a cappella he always goes a cappella. He never has any guests on. I just appreciate him. And I think that the side before self mantra, I think has value and should always be in Leeds United. It should be forever be at Thorpe Arch and at Ellen Road in the ground. I think that it needs to be defined more in a way that I think the modern day player can understand. As far as it relates to Angus, they're never going to sacrifice themselves. Like, I think, like in a case like Angus Kinnear, where I think the club might be bigger than him in a way, and he should probably move on, or Rad Rosani being a reluctant seller of Leeds United, he kept calling himself a custodian of the club. I don't know. I don't ever think that players will sacrifice themselves if they're not good enough. You know what I mean? Or if they're too good for the club, they'll move on. I don't think anybody will live that mantra the way it was in the 70s, if that makes any sense, because of the money's gotten into it too much and because of who the players are now. But I think it's a big part of our history, and I think it should always be part of our club's ethos. And I think to make a great team that will go on to win trophies at whatever level they're at, I think they do need to have a little bit of the side is the most important thing. And I need to do whatever I can for the greater good. I guess what I'm saying is I'm sitting on a big fence on that one. Paul Brant's going back into the USMNT. Does women's success in USA give false impression for the men's? I think we just have look, the US soccer scene, we have incredible athletes. Like, you're watching the NFL. If some of those athletes played soccer, maybe they wouldn't bulk up so much, but they're quick. And an athlete does not make a proper footballer. But it helps. And so I think we're so used to dominating at sports, whether it be basketball, football, like some of our sports. I think it's weird for us not to see that. And maybe women's liberation in the United States happened earlier, and so women were allowed to play sports, and that's maybe why we dominate. This is just me spitballing. Maybe that's why we were able to dominate the women's side so fast. But tactically speaking, men's soccer, in my opinion, is behind global men's football, global world football. Jesse Marsh is I was joking about it with Chris. Jesse Marsh is one of the top U.S. men's soccer / football minds, and you saw where he's at. He's basic. So tactically is where we're leaking, and that's what Messi will be doing in the MLS. Tactically, Messi controls a game and dictates a game in a way that's going to up everybody that's watching, because young boys and girls will be watching Messi play football and how he sees passes and puts people in and kind of doesn't turn off. I think that's where Messi's going to help us, quite honestly, is tactically. Cybersource self strike me as a narrative view in the context of the real world. I don't know. Esteban. I don't know. I don't think people are selfish. I mean, in sometimes I want my athletes to be selfish. I want them to be greedy. I want them to be like Rafinha in a way was a player that was very greedy and selfish in a good way, but he also didn't want to, he was never going to allow his team to lose. He wasn't going to allow his team to get relegated. And he did that because that's how he was going to get $75 million. If Leeds got relegated, he would have gotten $25 million. You understand what I'm saying? It was in his best interest to keep the team up. Weston McKennie is never going to get a $30 million deal now. His meal ticket was really hoping that Leeds United stayed up, and he couldn't do it. Different player, different position, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm just saying, the other example is Rafinha took every penalty. Rafinha took every corner. He scored the most amount of goals that season, I believe. And he did that. Well, the reason he took penalties, I think he basically went up to Marsh and Bielsa because Bamford was injured all season. Marsh and Bielsa and said, I want to take penalties. But now he's G&A. He pumped up his G&A. He took, by taking all those penalties, he pumped up his goal numbers. So I don't know, but Rafinha was selfish. He wasn't side before self, really. He was kind of like, I'm getting mine kind of thing. Because I want $75 million and I'm worth it. I'm going to Barcelona. I'm going to Camp Nou. Like it just like I'm going to start for Barcelona. And I think he knew that, like the second half of that season and playing for Marsh. Like he kind of is like, I'm going to win. We're not going to get relegated. I'm going to force this team up and I'm going to get my big money deal. Not everybody's like that. I don't know. Nine of you in the building, please smash the like. Perhaps it should invoke the club before self. Again, I don't know. They're just selfish. It's just a different player. Hi, Carl. How are you? Good to see you, buddy. I did hear the Angus interview. If you go back, I went back and I wasn't a fan of it. I just wasn't. I'll go over my points just real quickly and then I just think he's a liar. I don't understand the purpose of Angus Kinnear. I think he's a liar. I think he protects the owners. He protected Raz a lot more than I thought. He was speaking out of the side of his mouth too many times, both sides of his mouth. He said he was surprised that players wanted to leave. He thought, the EFL would be a great sale, Leeds United, and going back into the project and all this stuff. But then in the same breath, he disclosed that they wanted 40 and 60% pay cut. Talked about Marcel Bielsa wanted to turn the team over. And then, a year before he said, Marcel Bielsa didn't want player incomings. I just think it's time to move on. But I think somebody made the point earlier, shout out to him, that Angus might be on the books to probably fall on the sword if something happens this year. That's a smart move. I believe Paul said that. Perhaps we should evolve it to club before self. I don't know. Billy Brimner, right? I'm gonna get murdered for this. I can't remember who said it. Yeah, thank goodness. Billy Brimner, iconic phrase, side before self. I think the context that Billy said it, and that being the captain of the club at the time, side before self every time. Again, and this is the 70s, right? I mean, this is the late 60s, 70s, or mid 70s. It's different. Pay gaps weren't as big. The money wasn't being thrown around. It wasn't like this free for all. So, I mean, it could be evolved to club before self, but I think that the side before self every time should always be at the club. I just think that I don't know if it resonates with today's players. And so maybe there should be a little bit of hello, welcome to Leeds United, to Billy Brimner, our captain, won trophies. And, this is part of our ethos. This is part of who we are. It's up to Daniel Farker to kind of create some of this environment. And quite honestly, people like Angus Kinnear create this culture. It can't just be words, I guess is what I'm saying. It can't just be side before self. Okay, everything, give up everything and just it goes to the team. What is, is your fitness? Well, your personal fitness, being fit, being ready, that's for the side. It's not for the self. I think some players would argue, well, it's for myself too. I just think it needs to be defined more. I don't know. I don't think I don't want it to just be words. And I think we're in an era of the world where things are just words. There's no meaning behind the words unless you really attach meaning and action behind them. Rafinha walked the full length. Oh, David, I remember this. He walked the full length. Well, it wasn't Ellen Road, but of the pitch before he left, David. Yeah, he was just appreciating the moment of football. He celebrated with the fans. He was a 180, and again, American fan, 180 of my countrymen, Weston McKennie. And I felt bad for the abuse that Weston got. But the kind of ruthlessness part of me says, if you kept the club up, if you tried, if these things happened, you would have been a hero. You would have got a $30 million deal. Now you're going to let your contract expire at Juventus and, I don't know, be a part-time player and play in the next World Cup and maybe wind up at a mid-table German club in a couple of years. I don't think he gets in the Premier League again. Maybe. But certainly not for 30 million. Maybe somebody takes a flyer on him for 15 or 10. I don't know. Different player. And yeah, footballer, I guess. Carl says I make a lot of sense. I don't know. I try to in the spirit of essence of what we're talking about. Yeah. Appreciate Kinnear acknowledge players have short careers. They have the right to maximize it. I agree with this. They have the right to maximize it. He did say stuff like that. Like that was contextually correct. But he threw kind of the players back. And we still have loans with these players. Like, don't throw. You can say the truth that Sinistera and Tyler Adams shouldn't be at the club. They didn't want to be here. But like, don't say things like, I mean, one of the headlines is, I've got the Athletic out. I just don't want to go through it because some of it's like super depressing. Angus Kinnear slams Luis Sinisterra and Tyler Adams over Leeds United exit. Okay, so if there's anything in there where you're slamming ex-players or players that we still have, it just don't need to do that. Both players were eager to play at a high level of football following the Whites' relegation in the championship season. Since during making himself unavailable in fixtures, he just talked about the extreme measures that they wanted to leave, and there's a way to do it. And I agree with all that. All of that is correct. Don't say that because they're going to be listening, and you're airing their dirty laundry to the world. And other players are going to, like, I don't know, Patrick Bamford, or not that Bamford's the best thing in the world, but like Willie, I don't know if Willie Nato will listen to it, but like players are gonna get wind, or agents are gonna get wind of the interview and what you said. You got to be more professional in that. You have to say things without really saying them. And he slipped up, in my opinion. I respect all players' desire to play at the highest level. What we just talked about. They have short careers and should have the opportunity to play at the highest level. They didn't want to join a championship side. However, there are ways you can handle your desire to play at the highest level. I don't think either of those players handled it particularly well. Don't say that. Don't say that. They're still our players. I might think the same thing as somebody that just watched it from an outsider perspective. I think that, but I'm not in the club. I'm a fan. I can say whatever the hell I want. The avenues Tyler Adams and Luis were exploring had some risk to the club, whether they were in fairly solid position, but ultimately it was a combination of the legal position and their desire to leave. You just, when you're at a position of the boss, it's really kind of along the lines to me of, we wish them luck in their future. We hope they have the best, year that they can, and hope to welcome them back up in the Premier League. Even though mentally, you might be at the position of the CEO saying they didn't handle it well, they didn't want to be here, and there's a better way to handle the club. He talked about like the parent club and then holding the contract, like talk stuff like that. I just think like, is that really what I want to hear from my CEO? It's safe to say Kinnear has said what most Leeds United fans have been thinking for most of the summer. The manner in which both players made their way out of Ellen Road was nothing short of disrespectful to the club that was paying their wages. Now, look, this article is obviously a little bit slanted towards the Leeds United podcast, and this is from MOT Leeds United News. And shout out to these guys that run this blog. It's good. I like it, but at the same time, I think that you guys have a slant, and it's true. It's Dan Carter. This is what we were thinking. I don't have any problem with Dan and what he wrote. I have a problem with Angus and letting it slip. I don't know. David Liddell. I'm 59 and support Leeds since I was 7 years old. Shout out to you, David. I'm always actually fascinated by I've got some Leeds United fans that jump in 60s. It's crazy. Farkas saying the right things, talking about a special club and having a squad of players that want to play for the badge. Absolutely. And understanding, Esteban, that they want to be here. You got to want to be here. You got to buy into this project. My father used to say, lead, follow, or get out of the way. Lead, Be a follower, buy in, lead, or get off the bus. We know who we got. The window's closed. He didn't come off as a clean, polished CEO. The way, like, when Parag addresses the to me the questions. Like, Parag comes off as a CEO, polished. He says things without saying them. I don't know. Club clearly didn't convey the message with all these contracts with lease closures. Yeah, they didn't. Here's the other thing that came across in the interview. Rad Razzani said it earlier in this show. Didn't have the money to compete. Rad Razzani did not have the money to compete in the Premier League. I was one of the first ones to say it. Over a year ago. Here I am, ranting in my car. My beard looks very unkempt. Are you willing to say Leeds United out 1 year ago? Or am I overreacting? I just wanted to bring these 3 topics up. Hopefully we'll be in and out in 5 minutes. But it's become clear to me that Raz is got to be out. And I don't say I'm going to I don't know. It's not like a campaign or anything, but he's just not going to be the owner of the future that's going to kick the club on at levels that I think the ambition of the fans want to go to. So what do I mean by that? Well, when you have to sell a player in order to get another player in, you don't have the money to play with the big boys. This is not how big teams operate. The fact that you have to sell Dan James or loan out, generate revenue through Dan James to even get a player in the door is kind of pathetic. Rad Razzani's been a great owner. He got us promoted. He got Marcelo Bielsa. He's professionalized the club. He was a great championship owner. We're in the big boy league. We're at the big boy table. This is not how other teams operate. To sell a player or generate money off Dan James to get another player in. He's invested no money this summer. He's sold Rafinha and Calvin Phillips. I mean, imagine if Rafinha didn't come to this club, not only for his contributions on the field, but the money that he was able to secure us through Barcelona, which hopefully has been cleared. Afternoon, Joe. But I'm just kind of trying to spit reality to the situation, that it's become clear to me that Rad Razzani's not the owner for the future. Great guy, I guess. I laugh because I don't know him. But, got professionalized the club, got Marcelo Bielsa. I mean, clap all day for that. Absolutely. We're at the big boy league. Teams do not operate on this. Well, okay, I've got these players over here, and if they come in, how am I going to be able to afford them? Well, I got to sell this player over here, and you're half pregnant all day on these negotiations. So no wonder they're falling through. You can't close them down because you're back here going, we think we can. The player and the agent's going, no. See you later. They get that sense about them. And my biggest problem with this Dan James loan is it's not like if it was a loan to the Italian league or the French league or another European league, great. You've loaned him to Fulham. All right, I'll go there. Dan James didn't play a big role at Fulham, but I mean, you get my point there. Like we were going in and out of players at the last 24 hours of last year's Premier League window. And look, that transfer policy didn't work, but to get to Lara, like we fell in love with they couldn't make multiple bids. That was my point. They can't make multiple bids. To get to Lara, can you come? Okay, let's loan out Dan James. It looks like he's coming. Dan James is in Fulham. On hold. Oh, Cody Gapco. Can you come? Cody Gapco, please, 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 please. Oh, he's on his way. Oh, PSV or wherever. I can't remember where we were getting him. I think it was PSV, or they told us to go pound salt because whatever that scummer was telling him not to come. So it's just where you see the 49ers put in multiple bids for multiple players. I don't know. I'm going to catch up with your comments, and I'm going to head out. I can't believe I've been talking for an hour. That's great. I feel like I could this is my bar. I can't go down to the pub and talk about the Mighty Whites. So I come on here, and whoever jumps in, jumps in. So thank you all for coming in. I believe Farka is a manager who can deliver the message well. I believe so, Paul. I believe so. I believe in Farka. I really do. I think he might get his third EFL title here. And this was the other thing that I did like about it. I did appreciate this. I did appreciate the transparency, right? That when they interviewed Farka, Angus talked a lot about Farka's ability to his confidence and his ability to kind of settle a dressing room. And he talked about, Farka wanted another shot at the Premier League. And that's, I think, what they wanted to hear. They wanted to hear how he should be a Premier League manager. And he talked about the club being a Premier League club. And so, I don't know, appreciated that insight from Angus. Farka is saying the right things, talking about why the club is special. Yeah, it resonates. I used to have Gier on the channel a lot. And I follow Gier. Shout out to Gier Lunch. I had Gier Lunch on Twitter and Leeds United The View. And he said on his channel several times that, he's saying the right things. No one's bigger than the club. Leeds United is special. Gier has talked to me a lot about how he's a Leeds United fan and what his father was saying to him, because I chose this life. But there's a lot of people out there, maybe some of you are listening, that this is generational. This goes beyond. This is in your DNA. This is in your, the vibrations of the club. It's in the tuning fork. You're in West Yorkshire. You've got family there. You grew up there. And that, but Gier would always say, Leeds United is special, Alex. Gier talks about the tassels on the clubs in the 70s and how no one else had that. No one did the things that Leeds United was doing. And it still is. It is special, right? It is a one club city. The uniforms, the kits are special. No one's got our kit. No one's got one club. No one's got Ellen Road. So Daniel Farka, he gets it. He does get it. Absolutely the way Marcelo Bielsa got it. Club clearly didn't convey the message with all the contract releases. Yeah. It wasn't a fit, right? You say that, and it's not for everybody, right? That's what they say. They say in some things, it's not for everybody, Paul. Look, Calvin sat on his butt doing nothing. The final year? Oh, well, I think all the Marcel Bielsa players are, in a way, kind of broken now after 4 years of Bielsa ball. They overshot they punched above their weight. But who outside of Calvin and Rafinha have done anything? Rafinha really wasn't there in the championship, right? So Bamford gone. I mean, Meslier, he's out of form. But Alioski went to Saudi, early adopter of Saudi. Pablo, Spanish second league. Berardi's gone, Dallas is broken. Not his fault, broke his femur, but Alien hasn't been the same player. Coops has been in and out of the lineup. None of those Bielsa ball boys are wound up. And even Calvin Phillips, the diamond of all of them, the crown jewel, is just broken for Man City. Still does bits for England, but and still a great footballer. Absolutely. But yeah. McKinney brought more to the team than Raka did. Interesting. I don't know. Some people rate Raka. I don't know. In a way, we all want those loanees to do well, right? If I'm a straight business person, harsh, I want you have a career year, because then I'm going to sell you for more money. And they should want to do good. They should want to do, because then they either come back into the Premier League with us, and we may have them back if they're really good, or they get sold for more money. Well, we'll see, right? They're all snakes. Philip says, Alex, Leeds United is about playing for the badge. If you don't want to, go, Philip says. I know, Philip, but I just think, I do think the modern player is different. I just think it's different. Funniest thing about the loans is they have to come back, LOL, says David. Yeah, I kind of like that. They have to grovel back to us. They have to kind of come back. I do like that, David. Angus is a spin doctor. He knows he's on borrowed time. I agree with that, Paul. He's on borrowed time. He's past his expiration date. Coops is completely right. If you don't want to be here, then you can do one. There's a little bit of that. Absolutely. But where's Cooper, right? Cooper's is injured. He's out of form. All that stuff. It's a double-edged sword. I agree with it. Like, you want everybody on the bus that wants to be on the bus. You want to be here. You got to want to be here. You got to buy in. All of that is true. If you don't want to be here, then absolutely go do one. You shouldn't have to sell it. All of that is true. All of that is absolutely true. Yeah. I you know what? I agree with that. I 100% agree with that. We need people to buy in. If you're not buying in, so I look at a guy like Willie. I think these players, once these players, the whistle blows or they show up to practice, they are in. They want to be here because they love the game. They love football. But when they have a little agent in their ear going, you need to get out. You're too good for the championship. You're going to be an international. I can see you win the Ballon d'Or. Be nominated for the Ballon d'Or, whatever they say. I don't know what the hell they say. Right? His kid's 19. They're all like that, though. They're all like that. So they all had little agents in their ear going, you're too good for the championship. You're too good for the championship. You're better than this. You're not taking a pay cut. All this other stuff. I guess I blame the agents more than the players. So I don't know. I see both sides. Yeah, I think they're bought in once they're here. Once they show up to the ground, they do practice, and that's why Alien's like, I can't wait for the window to close, because at least I know who's here. They show up. They're a player. They show up to the ground. They're a teammate. You don't know what's happening in the background. It's just a different day, man. It's just a different day. Coops is old school. And you know what? I guess he was right to say that because it was embarrassing as a fan. I didn't even watch that last game. I couldn't watch it because I knew what was going to happen. I'm props to you guys if you watched that game, but God, that was disgusting. That's just disgusting. And let Lucas in like that. Just let him in. So, you know what? Props to Coops for saying that because they should all those guys should get out. And they are. And so we move on. Angus was singing Bournemouth praises, hedging his bets, says David. Yeah. He'll land on his feet, man. I don't know. He'll find another championship. He'll go to Borough. He'll be at Sutherland. He's got a promotion underneath his belt. I think his time up here at Leeds is done for me. Orta got his way from Kinnear. Crazy. He was the devil in disguise. Charterhouse Media Inc. Yeah. I don't know. He just looked like crazy. He looked insane. I mean, he looked a little unhinged, right? And even in the documentary, he's like sweating bullets over the damn James transfer. I don't know. Kinnear was implying the 49ers would have paid full Premier League salary if relegated to the EFL, all about maximizing assets. Yeah, maybe they want to restructure the contracts. They did say something like that, right? I don't know. From America, they don't understand. Like the U.S. Soccer culture doesn't understand the championship. They probably think that's, I don't know, worse than the EFL. They don't get it. I mean, I would bet you that Cardiff would win Cardiff would be a top side. I would at least say in the MLS. I was going to say, but pre-Messi, I would say win the MLS. Bielsa papered over the cracks. I agree with this, Paul. As soon as he left, amateur ownership was exposed, and you saw that before, right? Heckingbottom, and by the way, he brought up Heckingbottom. Oh, Heckingbottom and Christensen. That he was early on Heckingbottom, and then he wound up getting Sheffield United promoted on less than what we had at Leeds United. Well, look, you can have less in terms of players, but you didn't get it right. You brought in Kevin and Gustin. Well, I guess that wasn't a Bielsa, but you know what I mean? Like, Heckingbottom wasn't Bielsa. I'll just say that. Bandy, with the amount of money that our club was making, Rad Razzani had the cash to do all manner of things. Just check the revenue accounts. Kinnear is a liar. Well, I don't know about the accounts, Bandy. And good to see you, by the way. Long time no talk. He's a liar. The man is a paid liar. And there's things like where you lie, like, I don't know. This is the color green or whatever. My shirt is blue. There's like that kind of line, and then there's kind of telling the truth, and kind of he's like that. Like he's manipulating. He's trying to, and that's what pisses me off. It's like, just shoot me straight, man. I don't have time for this crap. And there's a way that in Parag's interviews, for me, it's been more, you're shooting me straight and you're not going to tell me anything further. Like, I think even in the LUTV interview, he just goes, that's it. That's all I'm going to say. You got my statement. That's it. Next question. Like, I appreciate that then rather than this little hemming and hawing. And saying stuff and then having to go back, well, over here. And there was a Judge Judy used to say, don't pee on me and tell me it's raining. I mean, that was a corny phrase, but, you know. Alex, Raz was a bad owner and lucky. Good business may got, maybe that's because it made a big profit for himself. Raz was good. Raz was good at PR and has shown himself for what he was, a chancer. Says Philip. I don't know. I think he was okay at PR. He just, he dipped in on Twitter. I think Raz was the ego. Victor was the unhinged, stressed out, wind out. I don't know what he needed, some Xanax or something. And then Angus was taking chicken, and making chicken salad. I think we have a better squad than we did under Bielsa. I do too. I think our squad might be better than the one that was in the Premier League. Jack Harrison, last man standing. He's a loanee, isn't he? I believe so as well. Poor guy's in Everton. He's in a relegation battle. I don't know. Wish him the best. I like Jack's story before this most recent loan and demotion, because he came to America. He got playing time at colleges and universities here, went to the MLS, and then got back into the Premier League. He was just a good story, and fit as the butcher's dog. He was always available. I also blame the agents more than the players. Yeah, that's where I guess my punchline. Yep, Squid Shady. I blame the agents more than the players. David, we like the fact that the fans were promoting his middle leg. No comment, but I don't know. I rate Willie. I think he's going to be. I think he's got potential to be a really good player. Missed the last game as I wanted. Went to an Offspring concert. I softened the blow. Well, my friend, you must be Gen X, as I am on the border of Gen X and millennial. Football is different these days. It's all about the money. Unfortunately for fans, money is important, says Philip, but it's all about passion, history, and philosophy. Leeds United is a community, but owners want a profit. Yeah, well, what's the phrase that Phil said? Phil Hay, that's quoted from somebody else. That's basically like, if you want to make money in European football, if you want to make a fortune in European football, start with a small fortune, something like that. If you want to make a small fortune, something like that, and in football, start with a large one. Basically saying the 49ers can take losses. Like, they're going to invest money, hopefully eventually, in the ground. Whatever park the 49ers are at probably sits 70 or so thousand. I'll look it up right now. And Levi Stadium, approximately 68,500 people. So you're looking at close to 70,000. The place where the NFL game is taking place tonight, this is close to 80. It's been sold out for most of my lifetime, so for 30 plus years. They'll expand the ground. You have to invest money to expand the ground to take losses. You're not going to recuperate that money for very long. So I just think the 49ers are willing to take losses. It's called patient capital. They have patient capital. Raz didn't have patient capital. He needed to make money now. And you saw that Angus said something that we all knew, which was Rad Razzani invested much of his personal net worth into Leeds United. Unfortunately, this isn't a charity. Unfortunately, this isn't the Bible, where I hate to say stuff like this, but I gave more. Who gave more? Right. The story in the Bible where this, somebody gave their entire net worth to the church, and a rich person gave technically more money, but it was less of their net worth. It's a great story to tell. I mean, I believe that he believed in the club. He risked more, sure, but at the same time, like you can't take the risks. You're outgunned. I don't know. Philip says football was different these days. No. Jamie Shackleton. I love Jamie Shackleton. Absolutely. I think you need a Jamie Shackleton for promotion. I think you need a Swiss Army knife type player, as we did have Stuart Dallas. And I like that he's from Yorkshire. I like that he puts in the hard yards. I like that he's the quickest player on the pitch. Yeah, he sets players precedent and commitment and effort. He's not the most talented. Yeah, work on. I like that. I like a player that's going to outwork you. I was kind of like that as an employee, and I'm just going to outwork you. I like a little bit of that. And he's living the dream. He's wearing the shirt, man. Let's face it, players are mercenaries now. David says, I get what you're saying. Okay. That's it. That's my time. Over an hour 20 minutes. But you know what? I love Leeds. We all love Leeds. Smash the like, hit the comments. Let's have a dialogue. Out. Thank you. Marching on Leeds. Millwall away. I think a week from tomorrow. Marching on together. Bye-bye, everybody.